Hello and welcome to a fresh episode of Research Plus Practice. Thanks for your questions and suggestions. Do keep them coming. They are very encouraging. I'm sorry I've been a little late in coming up with our new video. But now that we are here, let us pick up from where we left last time. So in our last video, we discussed how organization culture has an impact on individual decision making. In simple words, the way you work in one organization or how you perform in one organization may be different how you perform in another, maybe simply because these organizations have very different culture. Now the question that I received was, fair enough, organizations have an impact on individuals' decision making, but how do you typify organization cultures? Is there a typology? And if you know organization X has this kind of a culture, or organization Y has another kind of culture, how does it change your life? Now, let me give you a very simple example. Consider there are two drug rehabilitation centers. There is a drug rehabilitation center X, which believes that every person who takes drug is a deviant, and he needs to be dealt with stick so that he leaves his bad practice. There might be an organization Y which believes, you know what, they are human beings like us and they have just strayed from the right path. And if I counsel them well and if I show them warmth and love, they would come back to the right path. Now, take a sense. Now, on this example, would you not agree that the leadership or the hierarchy in the first organization, which is believing the person is deviant, they might have someone very strict, like a sergeant, who is checking everyone whether he's following the right thing or not. And if there is, in the second organization, the leader might be more like a mentor. The leader be more like someone who is trying to espouse, shower lot of warmth, love, so that the person listens to him. Both organizations are trying to do the same thing. Both are trying to help an individual leave the bad habit of drugs, but both are approaching in a different way. And now if you understand that both are approaching in a different way, the culture that both these organizations will be very, very different. And knowing and understanding this fundamental difference is very critical to implementing strategies in this different strategies in organizations, even whether they are for the same outcome. So in today's video, we are taking a very simple model of how you can typify different kind of organization cultures in an organization. We are using a competing value framework, which asks you to understand two simple questions so that you can come up with four different kind of organization cultures. Let's have a look. So one question that has been of interest for scholars as well as practitioners is that how do you understand or how do you typify different kind of organization culture? So one thing that we have discussed so far is that each organization culture or organization culture is different from one another. So how do you typify organization cultures, or what typology can you build so that you can coherently think in a particular direction? Now we are today discussing on Cameron and Quinn's work and on competing value framework, which is one of the most used framework to understand organization culture model. From the many that are there, I prefer this one because this is a very simple model which asks you to answer two questions. And as I said, by answering these two questions, you would be able to at least find the key orientation of your organization culture. So if you look at this slide, you'll find that organizations can be of four types, and that depends on what are the feature sets of those organizations. Are organizations flexible and provide discretion, or are organizations oriented towards stability and control? Now, these are competing values, and that is why around the y-axis you find them on opposite ends. Second thing they ask you to answer is, does an organization have internal focus and integration as the key aspect of their work, or does the organization have external focus and differentiation is what they are going after? Again, these are competing values and you find them on the x-axis. And because both these feature sets are competing with each other. For instance, if you're going for flexibility and discretion, you cannot have stability and control. If you're going for internal focus, you cannot have external focus. So in that regard, this is named as competing value framework. To give you a very quick snapshot of what the four cultures come across, look at clan. Clan is a kind of a organization which has largely collaborative family like of culture. You get a lot of flexibility and discretion, but they are very concerned about the team spirit, the effectiveness, and bonding amongst team members. So they are more focused on creating a good working environment by providing flexibility and discretion. Autocracy is an organization culture which looks at innovativeness, creativity. So they provide flexibility and discretion, but they have an external focus. They provide flexibility and discretion so that you can come up with innovative solutions, entrepreneurial spirits, take risks, but come up with solutions. On the other hand, if you look at hierarchy, so what kind of organizations are termed as hierarchical organizations? So these organizations uh, typically have very strong command chain lines. Control is a key word here for these organizations, and they have internal focus and integration. So they spend a lot of time in ensuring that they work effectively together. Any organization comes to your mind? What about law enforcement agencies like the police or the military? Very, very hierarchical. They don't want you to be entrepreneurial, but they want to ensure that uh, whatever their task is, stability, control, and integration of the various aspects is critical. And when you look at market is our organization which also have very well laid out characteristics of hierarchy, of chain of people. So they have strong stability and control, but they are externally focused. So for them, the value driver is market share. Are you able to build your markets? Are you able to come up with new products? And those are market cultures. Now, one thing before we move to the next point is these four kinds are primarily you can look at organizations oriented largely towards one or the other. So it's not to say that that you can easily place an organization into one of the buckets, but you can safely say that okay, an organization A is largely oriented towards autocracy or market or clan or hierarchy. Now, having said that, this is just a part of the discussion that I wanted to have with you today. So, the more important slide for you as organization practitioners or consultants or change agents is perhaps this one. So, this slide for me is like a good cheat code. If you know what kind of an organization culture you are dealing with, what are the typical things that it means in terms of leadership, organization theory, effectiveness, and other things. For instance, look at clan organization. So we said these are largely internally focused, flexible organizations. So the orientation of such organizations is to be more collaborative. What kind of leader you require here? You require a leader who is more of a facilitator, a mentor, a team builder. And if you look at the theory of effectiveness, it talks about human development and participation to produce effectiveness. So it's all about internally building such systems which help people grow, and that is where their focus lies. Value drivers are commitment, communication, and communication development. Look at a market culture. What is the orientation? It's a typical competing mindset that you find in these organizations. A leader type would be a hard driver, a competitor, or a producer. And the value drivers here would be market share, goal achievement, and profitability. This above anything else. And theory of effectiveness, aggressively competing and customer focus to produce effectiveness. So this slide, and I'm just taking two examples, but the slide has all the details listed out, and that's why I said it's a cheat code, because it is cheat code not in a bad way, cheat code to suggest that if you're able to find out how your organization is oriented, then you should try to build coherence between the kind of organization that you have found out, and with these four kind of parameters like orientation, leader type, value drivers, and theory of effectiveness. If they are not matching, try to get them right, because that is how that organization will. So that was competing value framework. I hope it gave you a simple logic as to how you can typify organizations by just answering those two questions. And building a typology of organization is not the end. The second slide that we have, where we discussed of the kind of things you can expect from different kind of organizations, culture is where I believe the power of that model lies. So do try to use it in your own organization and see if it helps. Shashwat and I will be very happy to hear your comments and thoughts as you implement competing value framework model to understand different kinds of organization culture. Until next time, take care, goodbye, and good luck.